is a nightmare. Man, that's the way it seems. Life is a nightmare.
Welcome to Today in Horrible History, your daily moment of historical misfortune. For February 8th, 2022, we head back to February 8th, 1587 on the Julian calendar. On that date, Mary Stuart, also known as Mary, Queen of Scots, was executed. Mary was Queen of Scotland, which I keep having to point out in these videos was independent at the time. In fact, we haven't even done a month of these videos yet, and I've already featured the assassination of her regent and the marriage of her son. I'll link to one of those at the conclusion of this video. That's a lot of horrible history in one family, and I thank them. Mary was a Catholic, and the Catholic head of a largely Protestant country. Her cousin was the famed Queen Elizabeth I of England, a Protestant ruler of a largely Protestant country. Mary was married to a French royal, making things worse, as Catholic France was a traditional rival of England over centuries, including at times in alliance with Scotland against England. The English throne also worried about the attitudes of English Catholics toward Mary being also the rightful holder of their throne instead of Elizabeth because of their family background. Let's leave it at that. There's no time for detail. I'll add complicating matters. Some Scots even invited English soldiers into Scotland in the 1580s in the interest of keeping Scotland Protestant. So, bit of a complex situation. Because of all this, Elizabeth held Mary effectively in house arrest, or palace arrest as the case may be, for more than 18 years. People loyal to Mary at various times were implicated in 3 separate plots against Elizabeth's life, with the presumption that Mary would take over the throne in England as well. These are known as the Rodolphi plot, the Throckmorton plot, and the Babington plot. And that third one was the Charm. Mary was tried and found guilty of knowledge or participation in the third scheme, and eventually, in a really passive-aggressive manner, Elizabeth signaled to her staff that maybe it was time to do you-know-what to you-know-who, wink-wink. In fact, later Elizabeth even had one of her court officials imprisoned for almost 2 years for the apparent crime of following her instructions, just for the plausible deniability. On February 8th, 1587, Mary was given less than a day's notice that she was to be executed the following morning. After much prayer, Mary was led to a platform where she forgave her executioner, stating, and this is the quote, "I forgive you with all my heart, for now I hope you shall make an end of all my troubles." Following a brief prayer in Latin, Mary's executioner made a real mess of things. His first axe stroke missed her head completely and struck the back of her head. The second blow did largely sever her head from her neck, but left what is described as a sinew attaching both. The executioner used the axe to, as it is described, separate this dangly bit a third time. He then held her head aloft and proclaimed, "God save the Queen," when it's reported her wig fell off, revealing short gray hair. Mary was only 35. One of Elizabeth's secretaries had a nephew present for the execution who makes 2 claims about the execution that are debated to this day. One is that, and I quote, "her lips stirred up and down a quarter of an hour after her head was cut off," end quote. And perhaps more famously, he claims a small dog later emerged from under her skirts after the botched head chopping was completed. A more exhaustive account of the event failed to mention either. Mary's 2 consecutive husbands during her lifetime had their own interesting deaths, and will no doubt get their own Today in Horrible History videos. This family is a gift that keeps on giving. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Today in Horrible History. Remember that after a brief visit, the rest of your day can only seem better in comparison.
is a nightmare. Man, that's the way it seems. Life is a nightmare.